Question 8. How did the Tariff of 1828 contribute to sectionalism?
Sheep farmers wanted stronger protections for their agriculture, and specifically in 1824, Congress had increased the general tariff significantly, but wool manufacturers still wanted higher barriers and protections. The North profited from manufacture and trade, and therefore they were fine with the current tariff. The West had increasing property values and increasing populations. However, the Old South was left with nothing but mined soil, and so they used the tariff as a scapegoat for all their hardships.
Okay, Slave Rebellion of 1822. It was led by Denmark Vesey. He was a Carolinian, and he was a former slave and now just a normal farmer. The Carolina is deeply connected to the West Indies, and liberation of the slaves in the West Indies was starting to become a big part of the news in London. So Denmark Vesey decided to try to stage a slave rebellion, and he modeled it after the successful Haitian Revolution of 1791. But his plans were leaked early, and this led to the uprising being crushed by help from federal authorities in addition to the Carolinian state authorities. Now, what did this do? Okay, so this increased the tensions concerning the need for federal interference in state laws. So overall, it started to increase the need for federal intervention in the southern states, and this increased just the tensions in general.
All right, cool. And these tensions between the southern states and the federal government interfering would boom with the Tariff of 1828. So let's talk about what that was first. The Tariff of 1828 was basically just a tariff that raised duties on all imported foreign products. And the reason for this was basically to help America's own manufacturing industry blossom so that people wouldn't be buying foreign manufacturing products, but instead they'd be buying American New England manufactured products. And now let's talk about how Jackson actually proposed this tariff. So Jackson, he wanted to propose this tariff to help New England bloom. But the thing is, he knew that if he proposed this tariff, a lot of people in the South and in the middle colonies would hate him for it, because it basically caused them to pay way more money for foreign products. And so this would just kill his political party. So he did not want to propose this tariff. So what he did is he had a big brain idea. What he thought is, he said he would pass a tariff, or he would propose a tariff to the current presidency. And the current presidency would reject the tariff. And this would cause all the people who wanted the tariff in New England to get mad. And this would create way more support for the passing of the tariff during his presidency. But then something unexpected happened. The tariff actually ran through in the current presidency, and now Jackson, who was just elected president, had to deal with the tariff. This led to the Tariff of Abominations. So once the tariff was established, Southerners really hated the tariff, of course, because they were saying that, the tariff was helping the North blossom, but at our expense, because we can't buy foreign products from, Britain or Brazil or something. And the tariff was so unpopular in the South that it became known as the Tariff of Abominations, and it even caused threats of secession in Virginia and the Southern colonies.
And then, if you guys remember, there's this dude called John C. Calhoun who's still around, and Tariff of 1828 comes, and he's pretty angry, and he actually gets a genius idea, and he refers to the Jefferson's Kentucky resolutions, and these resolutions are basically saying that the states it introduced the idea that the states should be able to nullify federal laws that they believe are unconstitutional. So now, enter his South Carolina exposition, which is basically just a copy of Jefferson's Kentucky resolutions, but for the tariff. And he brings this up to the South Carolina legislature, and they give it a big thumbs down. But 4 years later, Tariff of 1832 comes, and South Carolina legislature is like, wait a second, we actually like these John Calhoun doctrine ideas, so they approve it, and this almost leads to a crisis and almost leads to war between South Carolina and the federal government. The good thing is that this is avoided, but it permanently starts to put rifts between the state government and the federal government.
Because they're not satisfied with this tariff, Calhoun decides to use the principle of nullification, and he calls the tariff unconstitutional, again calling into question, like the earlier slave rules, what exactly is the role of government in states' everyday affairs. Because of this, he leverages nullification to then ignore this tariff.
Okay, and in 1831, Jackson's entire cabinet resigns, including his own supporters, which prompts the Calhounites to do the same and follow suit.
The end.